Mr. Naidoc is a leadership role. For me, it's going to be able to step up in our community, be a voice for our community.
I've helped organise social movements fighting for the rights of Indigenous people and led thousands of people through the city streets for our rights to be recognised and respected. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
The active spirits within our young people are the same active spirits that gave us the day of mourning, the 1967 referendum, and what we know now as Naidoc Week. I feel so honoured that this award has acknowledged me and has given me this platform to voice my opinion.
I'm the only Indigenous person on the Australian future team that is designed to train athletes in readiness for the 2020 Olympics. I aim to be the first Indigenous Australian gold medalist in boxing.
It's a platform for me to use to inspire other Indigenous kids that are out of home care and need some sort of role model that they don't really have at home.
This one beats the cake, you know. This one is more closer to home because it's the people that have watched me grow here in Aboriginal Melbourne. I thank the mob here for choosing me to be the recipient of the Elders Award for Naidoc, to be one of Melbourne's definitive walking, talking role models. It fits me well, suits my purpose in life to be that person.
Waiting on me before they ever ask my name. Funny when I lose you, keep on complaining.
So I've come full 360. I was one of the inaugural winners in 2017 of this night. I think these nights are really important because we don't have a lot of spaces to be queer and to be mob, to be Aboriginal and proud. This is the third year of this event running, and the first year I was blown away by how many people actually showed up, and the fact that it was even a part of the official Naidoc week and the Naidoc celebrations. It honestly meant the world to me. It was really good.
I'm facing on my own abuse.
Again, you can step out of your comfort zone of your home, coming into another family, so to speak, of being LGBTQI, you know, it's just wonderful.
It's very supportive, but it's also very nerve-wracking. I really enjoyed the fact that I could do it in front of people that care, and no matter what, even if I sang a wrong note or fell over my dance, they'd still applause and be like, you're brilliant anyway.
What they ever done to me.
And it's one of the main reasons I continue doing drag and doing what I do, because I think it's really important to let people know that we're here and we exist, and yeah, that it's okay to be you. I didn't have anyone that I could really look up to as I was growing up, and it wasn't really until recently that I even discovered there were like queer Aboriginal role models in the community, and so that's kind of what I aspire to be.
So each time I take the fruit, I'm facing on my own abuse. It's how to wear my birthday true. Think what I really did.
Ngata, and good evening, everybody. Naidoc Stacey, Vic Naidoc Chairperson. On behalf of the Victorian Naidoc Committee, I welcome you to tonight's presentation. We have a series of interviews from past and current award recipients, and the response was so overwhelming that we had to split the event into two nights. So tonight, part one, we will hear from Chantel Thompson, Lewis Brown, Monica McDonald, Jordan Kamara Edwards, Matthew Gardner, and Hayley Bone. The full-length interviews from tonight will be available on our vicnaidoc.com.au website for you to view after the presentation. Part two will be aired on Sunday, the 8th of November at 7:30 p.m. We will hear from Natasha Bamblett, Keenan Muir, Christopher Saunders, Adam Troy Francis, and Isabella Atkinson. So these are in no particular order. This is just with the editing suite, how it turned out, and we hope you can tune in for both evenings. Like tonight, Sunday night's interviews will be available in full length on our website after the presentation. We hope you enjoy these presentations. Some of our incredible award recipients have jumped on and shared their voice. So the full length really gives you their voice, unedited. We wanted to provide that But if we did provide them in the presentation, we'd be here for a few hours because there's a lot of great stuff to share. So thank you so much for joining us to start Naidoc Week. We will start off with a welcome to country, and then our 2015 sports person will introduce a ceremonial element, and then we'll commence. So happy Naidoc, everybody, and remember, always was, always will be.
Womanjika, Naran Big Big Bunarong, Nunda, Baroktan Akka Willem. Welcome to our beautiful home, the lands of the two Great Bays, Nern, being Port Phillip, and Narran, Western Port Bay. And my name is Carolyn Briggs, and I'm a proud descendant of the Yellowcut Willem clan of the Bodden. It is my pleasure to be able to welcome you here tonight and also pay my respects to my ancestors and to ancestors past and to our futures, to our younger generation. But it is my responsibility to ensure that you have come with a purpose, and that purpose is to celebrate. Always was, always will be. This is the Naidoc theme for this year, and it is about the committee's award night. So it is about that celebration that we meet together. The First Nations, the peoples across all of Australia have a special connection to our lands and our waters, to our ancestors that has not been disconnected for millennia, despite the dispossession and the displacement on the discrimination that we've all experienced over the last 200 years. These connections date back to our creation stories. For the Eastern Kulin, our people's creation story tells us about Bunjil, our creator spirit, who travels as an eagle, and Baiwan, who protects our waterways, travels as a crow. And where we meet today, it is also about how he created the Kulin people. He taught them about the circular relationship they have with these lands and waters, in order for us to be taken care of by the land and waters. We also take care of the land through adhering to our Wurrungi Biks, laws of our lands, our customary laws, but like our laws today. These laws dictate how we interact with each other, how we interact with the land, and how we conduct ourselves while we're here on other people's countries. The Eastern Kulin's Wurrungi Bik speaks of three other Pacific laws. The first law is Yulenge. It is our responsibility to have the knowledge. Once knowledge is attained, we have the responsibility to ensure its survival and its continuation. We have a responsibility to our younger generation to maintain that knowledge and pass it down so it can be used for our future generations. We also have the laws of Jambana. This law speaks of community, the importance of community, the importance of diverse community, but how to unify community. The Kulin Nation people also understood the power of diversity. That is, within our lands and which increases our capabilities. It was always good to share our stories with different experiences. However, they understood how to utilise this very powerful tool that they had to identify common purposes. And one of these things we have in common is about celebrating. It's about what brings us together, always was and always will be. And that final law is that connection to country. And that connection to country, we might call it sacred ground, paying respects to our ancestors and the past generations, the people that took care of the land before us, the people who have lived and died before us. And before we are here, were here before we, oh sorry, go back. The people who took care of the land before us, and the people that have lived and died on the land before we were here, paying respects to those stories and histories of a land on which we live today. And it's important that we pay respects to that history, not only while we are at work or when we go home. So if we adhere to those three Wurrungi Bics, I can say in the words of my ancestors once again, Wamanjika, Marambik Bik, Bunurong, Namdeb, Barupton, Arthur, Willem. Nungujin.
Hey everyone, my name is Michaela and I'm one of the dancers from the Jiri Jiri dance group. On behalf of the Jiri Jiris, I would just like to say we wish that we were in person dancing with you, but I hope we can get back to it soon.
Wamanjika, Narambik Bik Bunurong, Nunda, Barupton, Arthur, Willem. Welcome to our beautiful home, the lands of the two Great Bays, Nurm, being Port Phillip, and Narran, Western Port Bay. And my name is Carolyn Briggs, and I'm a proud descendant of the Yellowkit Willem clan of the Bodden. It is my pleasure to be able to welcome you here tonight and also pay my respects to my ancestors and to ancestors past and to our futures, to our younger generation. But it is my responsibility to ensure that you have come with a purpose, and that purpose is to celebrate. Always was, always will be. This is the Naidoc theme for this year, and it is about the community. to identify stories and history.
2017, being invited to be a keynote speaker at the awards and having an opportunity to share my story and everything, and even on the Naidoc event, the ball itself, I was just like, wow, I'm going to be a speaker, and they're going to ask me to share my story, and my partner's like, you got something prepared? I'm like, no, they'll only ask me to just go up there, and it was like, no, you're going up there to speak. So yeah, it was really powerful, and I learned a lot about myself, but it also reminded me of those who have come before me and the responsibility that I carry in those moments and going forward as well.
What words or thoughts do you have in your short time on Earth? How do you encourage the younger Indigenous people coming up, in particular when it comes to Naidoc Week, and they think about how can they get an award, but how can they influence their community?
I think I'm very much a straight talker. I'm big on tough love, and I think very much that it's not your fault what has happened in the past, but it's definitely your responsibility to stand up and do your part, because a lot of people, particularly our young people, and I've worked with young people for more than 15 years now, there's a certain sense of victim mentality that pervades our community, our young people. Now, some people, that is through no fault of their own, that is an inherited thing. But for others, there is a capacity to move beyond that, but they either choose not to, or they choose to kind of stay stuck there. There's a sense of entitlement that, or I hear it often, there's all these programs and kids go, oh, I'm bored with that, or I don't want to do this, or that's gammon, or that's shame. And it's like, hold on, you have a responsibility. People have fought so you can have this opportunity. So it's your responsibility to step up and take that opportunity on. And then there's a severe lack of gratitude as well for the work that's been done to get to where they are. So I think there's, particularly around inner city kids, there's a plethora of opportunities, and there's a lot of people working in silos as well. So I think we need to start to work together more holistically. But for young people, it's a tough love message. Just, yes, we do have things tough, but we have far more opportunities and support and a stronger foundation than a lot of generations who have come before us. We're in a different type of chain, but I think we hold the key to our own chains in a lot of ways. And there's people who are willing to fight for you, but if you're not willing to fight for yourself, there's nothing that can be done to create change or opportunity. And we make up 3% of the wider population, but one of the challenges is that 80% of our mob might be still stuck in struggle. So the 10 or 20% that are left, we're still struggling, we're still learning to manage our own traumas and our own issues and stuff, but we're left doing all of the work, and then we're trying to bring the other 80% with us. And that can be a really hard, challenging space when you're trying to do your culture, responsibilities, but you're also trying to make it work in the Western context, because we have to live in the reality of the world as it is, whilst we work towards the world that we want to have.
Shando, I think it's timely that you were the person to bring back the Sports Award. If you would label it that, I know there was a lot of work from Auntie Pam. I think you're a deserved winner. And 4 or 5 years on, you are still an absolute champion. I thank you for sharing today. Give us a little snapshot of what life was like for 2012 Lewis Brown.
I guess growing up, I've had so many happy memories of Naidoc. I loved going to events, meeting with family, seeing my elders, and I just have so many happy memories attached to that. So I knew that I wanted to be a part of it a little more, and I was so in awe of Mr. and Mrs. Naidoc that I always told myself, as soon as I get the chance, I'm gonna give it a crack, and that's exactly what happened. As soon as I hit 18, I went for it and was lucky enough to get it in 2012. So.
When did it sink in that you're actually Mr. Naidoc?
I would say I was sort of I was sort of in shock, and from memory I was driving home, and my partner at the time, she was telling me how proud she was, and it was the moments where I started setting my alarm clock to 5 a.m. because I had to get up so early, and I'm like, is it gonna be a very tough week? But
it's one thing getting a trophy for sport or something like that, but when it's something acknowledged by your community, the people that you identify with. Tell us the differences and what that meant to you at the time.
I think for me, I felt that community support each other no matter what time of the year it is. But I got to, during that week, I really got to visibly see it. And I guess that from the yarns I had with young mob through to our elders, it was clear to me that we're all invested in each other to succeed and celebrate together, and celebrate the people that walked before on these lands before us, and celebrate the future as well. And I guess as well during that week, I made some lifelong connections as well, and I'm forever grateful for that. That includes Miss Naidoc, Makita McNally at the time, and the two Naidoc patrons that was with me, the late Uncle Peter Rodimer and the late Auntie Cherie Waite.
This year's theme, if you don't know, is always was, always will be. What do you think about when you hear those words?
I think I was so glad to see that it was this year's theme. I think it's our most timeless message. And it'll never get old. I feel like I'll be, I was screaming that when I was a kid at the March. I was screaming it when I was Mr. Naidoc, and I'll be screaming it when I'm 80 in the Elders Bus.
Let's head straight back to 2015. Your time as Miss Naidoc. Can you still recollect some memories, and can you feel that wild ride of a tsunami of emotions? Tell us a little bit about those moments.
I was nominated by my now sister-in-law. I was doing my traineeship at a Wiradjuri theatre company, and it was wild. It was such an honour and a privilege to be nominated and to actually receive that title, and it was quite an extensive process. So we were nominated, and then we went through a couple of days of media training as well. So we had to get through the nominations and then do media training and have essentially prepare ourselves for what it was like, what it would be like to hold that title and to be interviewed and to essentially be a professional public speaker.
Can you remember what you said?
Oh, I can't remember exactly, but if I think back, it would have. I spoke about actually just my journey of being a performing artist and being a singer-songwriter and those kind of aspirations that I had as a 21-year-old, and how I believe I am continuing my culture through storytelling and through performing arts, and also continuing on the legacy of my family as well, and my grandmother and my forefathers and mothers. My family have been fighting for a very long time, and my grandmother's house is actually an Aboriginal embassy. So I just spoke from the heart, and I just really shared, who I was and what I was doing at that time, and just really just put my heart on the table.
What was the week like for you? Like getting to all the events. It's not very replicated. I don't think many people get much training to just rush around 5 events plus anything else that slings your way. You're recognisable for a week. How did you handle it?
It was intense. Like nobody gave us, yes, we had 2 days of training, but nothing could have prepared us for just the absolute demand of our time and just. Yeah, like we went to multiple events every day leading up to the ball all week. From we're visiting the Elizabeth Morgan House to ACES, Aboriginal Centre for Elders, and to the Aboriginal Advancement League, to Victoria Police, to the government house, the reception, the government reception, and doing a speech in front of hundreds of people, including like delegates and politicians and community members as well, and elders as well. So it was exhausting and invigorating and a huge lesson. It was a pretty awesome experience, but it wasn't an easy ride as well. Like it wasn't Like, it was challenging, definitely, challenging for young people. It speaks for itself. We are the oldest surviving living cultures in the world, and that's something to celebrate. It's something to be proud of, and it's something to commemorate as well, all of our struggles and our fight. So we're not going anywhere, and our cultures are still very much alive and are living today. So I really want to say to the young up and coming leaders, really trust when your family, when your peers actually acknowledge you and believe in your strengths. Like, see that for yourself, and really just own your accomplishments and own who you are and your strengths and your individual talents, because you've got to back yourself. If you don't back yourself, then and build a strong foundation for yourself, then you can easily fall down. One thing that I wish as a 21-year-old is to have that self-confidence and self-belief, and really just believe it and just enjoy it and be in the present moment. But yeah, I just want to say, stand strong in who you are, and don't compromise, your values and your morals and what your family have, gifted to you. Stand strong in that and be proud of who you are.
Can you take us back to the moment of 2016, getting that award and what it meant to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy. It was probably one of the most nervous I've ever been, actually. I remember sitting at the table just shaking. I didn't eat any food. I was like cornering myself. I was real nervous. I had my grandfather there who was terminally ill at the time. My parents there and the rest of my family. I was just like, man, this is crazy. I didn't I don't know, it just didn't register. And then I remember Sasha C, she was announcing it, and I was standing next to her. And then when she finally announced it, I was standing next to her. I was like, oh, I'll have a cheeky look over her shoulder, see who won, see my name was there. I was like, does that mean I won or not? And then she said my name. I was like, oh my goodness, this is...
Running around doing interviews and stuff. What are some memories that maybe someone wondering what goes on in the life of Mr. Naidoc in that week?
It's hectic. It is hectic. It is. I remember. It's just like you go to events, bounce back and forth in Melbourne, non-stop during that week. And I missed the year where the year that you came on, it was we extended it to 2 weeks. Which it was good and bad for those 2 weeks, because those other mob, after me, I think it was Chrissy Saunders, they was like, man, you're either going to get a good spread and good break, or you're going to be swamped even more. Because I remember every day I would come home and just jump on my bed, and that was it. I was out.
Did you iron your suit? Did you have to get your mum to iron it?
Yeah, no, my mum. I bought mine brand new because, you get a good $500 bonus. So I was like, yeah, I'm going straight to politics and bought a brand new suit. So I spent like $500 on a jacket that doesn't even fit me no more. But
I was going to say, it will probably still fit you. Encourage other young fellas to have a crack at trying to become Mr. Naidoc.
Definitely. It's something I still put on my resume. But people identify you that, they say, oh, you're Mr. Naidoc. I said, no, I'm Mr. Naidoc 4 years ago.
So we're checking in with awardees, and you are the 2018 Pride winner. Tell us a little bit about what that meant to you, and we'll start from there.
Yeah, well, on the night, I just went in as a community performer, not really knowing I was in the competition, to be honest. And then just before I knew it, I walked away with a bunch of, flowers and the sash, and I was just, it hit me like a freight train, really. I was like, wow, what's going on? Yeah. And absolutely proud, letting me community, award me the Pride, awardee of the night. And just ecstatic, I was overwhelmed and a little bit, speechless. Yeah.
Can you give us a little insight into what the night was like? Were you nervous before? And it's a little bit of a different format than the other events we've got, where you get to really strut your stuff and put a bit of flair on your presentation. Tell us what you got up to.
Yeah, so that night I actually constructed a little bit of my own wardrobe, which I was very proud of.
You made it yourself.
And I actually won that night, so I was like, oh, wow. No, I have a performing background in, doing, cultural dancing with my siblings and cousins and extended community members ever since, I was 5 or 6. And then I went on to Irish dancing as well. So I've, very comfortable on the stage. A little bit of butterflies before getting on in the green room, but as soon as I got stepped foot on the stage, all that stress and worry just went away, and a cool rush of calm, which I'm glad, because it was a familiar feeling. And then having the audience clap and really engaging, that really lifts you up. And that's when because I'm more of a audience participation, performer as well. I love getting the mob in the crowd out, getting up and dancing too. So that makes me even feel even more comfortable on the stage.
Any encouragement out there to any other Pride participants? There's some people out there that are umming and ahhing and waiting for their opportunity to jump, and obviously this year's been taken away. Leading into next year, I hope we've got a lot more people that are waiting in the wings. Any encouragement from an awardee?
Yeah, no, it took me 21 years.
Wow.
To actually come out into the community and really, but what I found most surprising was that I've already had fellas come, community mob coming out and be like, just be comfortable in who you are. We're still proud of you. You're a really deadly fella, and we will never see you in a different light. And that was when I was 21, and it definitely brought that. It broke that shell, really, and left me vulnerable in a very positive way, in a strong way.
And take us back to that glorious moment where you got crowned Sportsperson of the Year.
Oh, I still have no words to explain what I felt like and what it was all like when I won. I was so shocked. It was just still no words to describe it. It was so amazing to be able to, have that opportunity to represent my mob and our culture and showcase how beautiful it is.
And what's your sporting prowess? Where do you dominate?
Yeah, so I've been playing basketball for 10 years, and I've also been playing footy for 5 years, and I've represented Geelong in both.
What's the importance, do you think, of being recognised by your own community?
So I grew up not knowing my culture very well, so it took years and years for me to finally catch up to the rest of our mob and learn about my background and my heritage. I guess I was just so honoured to be chosen to represent our culture, because I went from that little girl that didn't know very much to now, I've got to be the face of it for Naidoc in 2018.
What was the rest of the week like? I know you've got to be at all these events all of a sudden. You got your Sarah, or whatever it's called on. How was that week for you?
Yeah, so it was an amazing week. My favourite thing, I reckon, was the march. Me, Isabella and Stephen got to stand at the front and chant to the rest of the crowds. And I also love the gala ball. I have never dressed up so fancy in my life, but everyone that knew me, I even got a photo taken for a blackfella newspaper, and they wanted me to show my footy shorts underneath my dress.
Let's go. Did you wear your footy shorts under your dress? That is gold. We would have. How many people knew about that?
I reckon Mum kept pointing it out to everyone, so everyone. The best thing you can do is just be yourself. Try and make your mob proud. remember that you're representing not just the Indigenous Australians on the ground here, but your ancestors too. And that will help you get through all your speeches and everything else.